Welcome into Friday Night Lights on Air, presented by students of the game. I am your host, Gentry and Jett, joined here by my brother in arms, Jett Wilson. Jett, what a beautiful Saturday morning it is. We're doing our first virtual podcast, the futuristic, which everybody knows what that means, right? That means everybody can sleep well knowing that your arm is safe from punches from me, being that I can't reach because we're virtual. Jed, how does that make you feel?
It feels like I'm in a safe place for the first time, Gentry. I feel comfortable. But no matter the situation, with the performance the boys put up last night, we're not gonna miss an episode, man. We
No, we're not.
couldn't
The
miss it.
show, what do they say? They say the show must go
Yeah,
on,
I
right?
do
Okay.
I do miss the intro music though. I'll miss it.
I do. The starts. Nah, I do. It's catchy, right? Maybe we'll try to do that something post edit if we can get good here. So speaking of the show, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. We're also on Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can also follow us on Instagram. That's probably the best one-stop shop at Students of the Game T. That's our Instagram handle. But Jed, I don't want to waste any time talking about social media. I want to jump right into this game. Okay, so Franklin had a huge first conference divisional game tonight or last night, I guess it would be, and they showed up to play, right? There was a final score. They took care of Indy. They walked into Indy and took care of them 35-14. And there are players all across the board that balled out. Jet, you were there. Talk to me about the specific players that you saw firsthand put it on Indy to get a 35-14 win.
Yeah, a lot of guys balled out. Going in there and beating Indy, Trey Hoppy, shout out Trey Hoppy, gave me a little nugget. First time
Let's
Franklin's
go.
beat Independent since 2014.
Oh
Before
my
my
goodness,
time
Jay.
at Franklin.
Before-
2000, so haven't beat this team in 10 years to walk into their home stadium,
Mhm.
lay it down on a 20,
Mhm.
21-point win. Huge. Guys that
Yep.
balled out tonight. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of high flying uh, plays. But first, I want to talk about the O line. I want to talk
No,
about the
line the
big
trenches,
boys
the
up
trenches,
front
the hogs they
in the
call them.
trenches. Uh, Give me Durham, dude. I saw
Give
Durham
me
drive a
Durham.
guy 15 yards down the field, put him in the grass.
Oh,
Possible Pancake Pantry Pancake of the Week nominee. I'm just gonna throw that out
okay.
there.
Come on now. Hold on now. If he's driving, if you're getting pancakes driving people 15 yards down the field, don't you think he deserves a
Uh,
nickname?
oh, he deserves a nickname. You got one
Okay.
for
How
him?
do you feel about this one, Jed? Here you go. All right. How about Durham, the King of Queen? Oh, how do we like that? We like
I
that.
think it can play. I think it can
Okay,
play.
you think you can play a little less mouthy than Aiden? Give me some
Yeah,
Elmore.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that a little quicker. All right, continue with the
Yeah,
players.
yeah. Sims was up there too in the O line. O
Okay,
line
yeah.
did a great job protecting Brewer, letting him have a huge night. Yeah, Brewer Wilson, 4 touchdown passes,
Come on
250
now.
yards, zero
I mean,
interceptions,
have a
zero
day.
turnovers for the entire offense. It was an awesome performance all around. Running the
Hmm.
ball, Gok did a great job
Yeah,
being
yeah.
consistent. Not a lot of negative yards. He was consistently getting first downs, getting positive plays. Opened things up in the pass game. Lucas Young, two huge touchdown
Come on.
catches.
Yes.
I also want to mention Lucas blocking. He did
Okay. Yes.
a
Yeah.
great
Okay.
job last night blocking on the screen passes. Him and
Hmm.
Wills Jackson as well, setting up
Hmm.
big plays for guys like Luke Thompson, 2 touchdown catches as well.
Come on. Come
Um,
on. Come on.
Big night for the offense all around.
Yep.
Defensive side of the ball did a great job too. Let up only 7 points against Independence. Give me
Right.
sophomore David
The
Domingo.
super sophomore David
Super
Domingo.
sophomore. Last week we mentioned him, just being in there and holding his own.
Yeah.
He took another step up this week and
Right.
was really a star of the defense. Got a huge
Absolutely.
interception in the end of the third quarter, big pass breakup at the fourth, and he
Yeah.
was consistently making tackles. Indy ran a lot of hitches trying to
Hmm.
expose our sophomore cornerback. And
Yeah.
he always stepped up, made the tackle. 5 yards is not going to beat us ever. I know it might
Hmm.
be annoying to watch in the stands. We give
Right.
up five
Right.
yard catches. We
Of
do
course.
that.
Of
So
course. Bend don't
big
break.
break.
Absolutely.
Give me also Aiden Elmore every week. Big
Classic every
tackles for
week.
loss,
He's a
big sack.
staple.
Uh,
Yep.
Give me Jacob Dykstra again too. Gi-
Love
Give me Jacob Dykstra. Some really
it.
big tackles on those
Yeah.
dives. A lot of you can't really see that from the stands.
Sure. Right.
But a lot of big tackles. He had a big pass deflection. I think Nickname
Beautiful.
time. Nickname time.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh. Jake, go ahead. I haven't
I
heard this. This is news to me.
I think the boys call him Jay Dyke.
Jada.
Jay Dyke.
I like that. That's simple, super simple. Okay, I
Yes.
like that. That
Uh,
that just rolls off the tongue.
so
I
I got
completely. Oh, go ahead.
you're
Yeah,
getting
keep going.
just last shout out. Last shout out.
Yeah,
Wayne
yeah, yeah.
Wells again. We
Come
only had to
on,
punt
special
two
teams. Three
times.
phases. Three
Three phases.
phases.
I think we punted two times, maybe three. But each time he flipped the field. It was a
Yeah,
huge play, and
yeah.
that's something that kind of goes unnoticed. But huge plays in special teams by Wayne Wells.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love that. That was a great breakdown. I completely second all those shout outs that you just gave. Let's dive into the game, okay?
Let's
So
do it.
we're going to go kind of play by play. The first drive, actually, even though unlike the rest of the game, it actually really didn't go our way. We end up getting a snap over Brewer's head. And the Independence ends up getting the ball pretty on. I believe
Yeah.
we went for it on fourth down. It was 4th and 1. Snap goes over the head. Independence has good field position in Jet based off of like one of your keys to victory, right? Always is that field position game. Tell me about your thoughts after the first drive when that snap goes over Brewer's head. Were you like, oh no, this is not the way we need to
Yeah.
start?
And that's kind of the worst time for that to happen. Because if it's
Yes.
on third down, you can still
You can
punt
just
it.
punt the ball. You can
Yeah,
still punt
but
the ball, right?
fourth down, you lose 15 and they get the ball right there.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it's not what you want to happen, but props to the defense. Sudden change, uh,
Sudden change.
stood strong and held their own.
So
They've been
strong. So
pretty good
they
all
make
year.
up for it with a fumble of their own. I believe Gaka forces the fumble, and
Yep.
then Tommy King picks it up and gives a good return. Right?
Great.
I saw him playing some running back last night. He got the ball in his hands,
Yes.
and he knew exactly what to do with it on defense, just like he was practicing the running back. And so he takes it. He takes it up down the sideline. I thought he was going to get in the box for a second. Tries to cut it back, but gets tackled. Gives us great field position. Nonetheless, we have a couple run plays with Gok, and then eventually Gok's going to break through and Gok's going to get in the end zone, and that's exactly what happens. Jet, give me your thoughts when we jump up after the sudden change, 7-0.
Yep. And I looked over to some of the people I was sitting with and I said,
Yeah,
if you told me we were going to be up 7-0 after what just happened on our
which
first
is happening.
drive, where
Right.
we give them the ball in our field position, we're going to be up 7-0. I'm
Yeah.
super happy. Props to the boys for responding. That's something we've seen all season that they
Hmm.
haven't done well in the past is when things go wrong in the past,
Hmm.
they didn't know how to fight back, and this team
Right.
fights
Exactly.
back.
I love it. I love it. Exactly. And so we get the Independence gets the ball back. Our defense stalls again. We end up getting the ball back and then driving out and kind of exchanging some drives. And it's still 7-0. And then we get around that midfield mark and we see them check at the line. They're looking over at the coach. They get a play in. And Brewer drops back and throws a beautiful red basket deep ball to Lucas Young, who was in the slot and ran a post. And it was a good play too because you could tell that safety was kind of running over to
Yeah.
cover Lucas, almost kind of like afraid he was trying to cover him on a seam. But as soon as he gets his momentum, Lucas cuts across his face, and you're not catching
No.
Lucas Young, right? I heard this in a sports analogy. I was watching another sports show, and they were talking about an NFL player, and they used this analogy, and I'm going to apply it to Lucas Young right here. There are good burgers and there are great burgers. There are good hotels and there are great hotels. There are good receivers and then there's Lucas Young, right? There's
Yep.
a great receiver. There's always there's always a 5-star. There's a reason there's 5 stars above 4 stars. And so I would compare that to Lucas Young. I mean, he just runs a beautiful route and then Brewer just throws it right in the bread basket and you're just not catching Lucas Young. So now we're up 14-0 going into the halftime, Jet. So we're at halftime up 14-0. What are your thoughts after Brewer throws that beautiful ball?
I'm feeling juiced, man. Offense has
Yeah.
all things clicking. Defense is
Mm-hmm.
standing strong.
Yep.
I'm still looking forward to the second half because there's a lot of
Yeah.
ball game left.
Of course.
We've had leads in the past going into halftime that fizzled out in the second half.
Yeah.
So I've my worrying side of me is like I hope the boys aren't getting too high and
Right.
are going to
Right.
finish this game because 14 points is nothing. They can
Absolutely. That's just
return
too.
a
Yeah.
kick, and then it's a possession game. So like,
Hypothetically,
yeah,
allegedly, they can do that, right?
allegedly.
And so, and I feel like Brewer being back this week was just so important to the offense, and
Oh,
you can tell by the end of the first half. I mean, and you could tell he was trying to make up for missing last week because he was slinging this thing. I mean,
slinging it.
he was guns a blazing in this entire game, and so we come out into the half. And to your point, Jet, Independence. breaks a couple runs, and their sophomore quarterback, he has a good long run that pushes them down to the goal line, and then he punches it in 14-7. So now to your thoughts from and going into halftime, they come back out and they turn into a one possession game. What are your thoughts after that quarterback runs it in?
Instantly the tide kind of shifts to how much are we going to beat them by, to like, okay, now we got a little bit of a ball game.
Now, right, we still got a ball. It's a barn burner, yeah.
I think Indy's QB might listen to the pod. I think he might, I think he might have heard me call him not a threat in the running game, and he proved me wrong. He broke a
Yeah,
couple out. He did a good job. Props to
yeah.
him. He's
Well,
he's
it's
a
all
young
right.
guy. He
Yeah,
definitely
he's a
made
young
some
guy.
big steps this week.
He
So
did.
shout out to him. He played a good
I
game.
agree. I agree. Hey, if he needs Jet has a chip on his shoulder, that's good with us. We just appreciate you being a fan of the program. Okay, so then this is huge because we talk about this all the time. The best thing you can do, the what says a lot about a team is when they get scored on, how they immediately respond, right? And Franklin responded great because to your point about the blocking with Lucas Young, I believe this is the time where they just pitch it out on a bubble screen to Luke Thompson. And what have we talked about with Luke Thompson? Every time he gets the ball in his hands plus grass, there's a chance that he scores, and he makes a couple joystick type moves. I felt like someone had a controller in the stands playing Madden with him. That's how shifty he was, and he breaks it down the sideline. And once he gets space, you're just not catching him. You
No,
can ask his Olympic track parents, you're not catching that boy. Mama,
no.
there goes that man, right? And so, Jed, now, how did you feel about them responding like that?
It was awesome, and that's kind of one of those plays where you get, like you said, you get a fast guy the ball with grass. Lucas
Yeah,
Young, Wills Jackson, huge blocks.
great blocks.
Lucas put his guy in the sideline.
He did, and
Put
then
his guy in the
As
sideline,
Luke Thompson was running down, when we looked over at him, he was still chirping the guy. His
talking
eyes
that shit.
weren't even on the inside. He was out there before the play was even ended. Chirp and Jed, I know you love that.
I love it, man. I love to see the juice and the confidence from the
I
boys
love
because
the chirp
they've
gallery.
earned it, man.
I love the chirp gallery. I absolutely love it. And so, Jet, the same thing, responding. Here we start to get a little back and forth because on that ensuing kickoff, Indy decides to make a house call right then and there. They don't want to waste any time. They don't want to do any more runs or quarterback runs. They just said, "Hey, we want to put it up right here." The returner makes a couple good blocks or kind of breaks a couple good tackles up the middle and kind of takes it off. And now we're back in a one-score 21-14 game. Jet, what are your thoughts after the long kick return, kind of re-shifting the momentum back and forth to Independence?
Yeah, there was a big part of me that was like, come on, guys. Like we
Yeah,
had them
yeah.
where we want them. Like we
And three
can't a
phases of the
special
game. We
teams
always
error.
talk about three
Yeah.
phases of the game. That's why
Yeah.
it's so important. So yeah.
But quickly, I something else came in my mind, was like,
Okay, here we go.
we got a little bit of a shootout here in Thompson
No, no,
Station.
come on. Here we go. Old time.
Yeah, and this is something we haven't really experienced as Franklin fans a lot, a
That's
high
right.
scoring back and forth game. So
That's
it kind of
right.
got me juiced up to see, let's see what the offense is gonna do. Let's see how they
Uh-huh.
respond. Now you got the
Absolutely.
confidence that when we get the ball, we're gonna put it in the end zone.
And Jed, I love how you said, let's see how the offense responds. Boy, did they specifically, boy, did Brewer Wilson respond. And we've been watching Brewer. First of all, we've been coaching Brewer for, I don't know, 7 years. We've been watching him on this Franklin High School team for now going on 3 years. And he decides to make the greatest throw in game that I think you and I have seen him make, where he drops back to pass, he gets pressure off his right side, ducks under him, scrambles outright. He's standing on the right hash, Jet. And then usually when a quarterback scramble, receivers have what called scramble rules, right? So they know what to do to get open when they see their or their quarterback scramble. And then Lucas kind of fades back and he sees it. He's on the opposite hash from where Brewer is. Brewer takes one lunging step up on the run and slings this thing, dropping a beautiful pass right in the hands of Lucas Young and for a touchdown, and he just walks right in. I mean, there was no one around him. It was a beautiful throw, but an unbelievable throw just to get it there from one hash all the way downfield to the other. And then, Jed, I'm going to let you take it away, giving your breakdown of this play.
Yeah, and everyone's freaking out. It was
Yeah.
an absolutely insane play.
Yeah.
To hit Lucas in stride on that play
Oh,
was
my goodness.
was just
Beautiful.
unbelievable.
And great
But
awareness from Lucas to kind of start
oh,
fading out in
mhm,
the open
uh-huh.
space.
That's that fifth grade chemistry that they've built over the years. But
Yeah.
and then everyone starts pointing, oh, there's a flag, there's a flag. And the
Oh,
whole stand is kind of just gasping, like, man,
yeah.
to have a
What's
play
going on?
like
What are we
that
doing?
taken
Yes.
away,
Yeah.
everyone, no one really thinks. So they call flag illegal forward pass. No
Uh-huh.
one in the stands is really thinking that he was past the line, but no one
Yeah.
was really looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Atkins ends up calling a timeout, and they're
Okay.
having a little referee meeting here on Franklin's sideline. Everyone in the stands is speculating, like, was he past the line? Was he not past the line? And after a long discussion, we see some Franklin players that were around the ref huddle start throwing their
There you
hands
go.
in there. We see
We
Lucas
like the
Young throw
sound.
his
I like
hands in
that.
there, touchdown.
I
And
love a
we're
good TD
we're,
signal.
we're kind of looking around like, what? Like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Franklin sideline starts just celebrating. So the crowd follows their lead.
Yeah.
Refs start the Franklin offense starts walking down to kick
To
the
kick the
extra
extra
point
point.
before
Yeah.
the refs have even called the play back. So the
So
refs
they
are
know. They were
over
there.
talking to Independence's
Yeah.
head coach. The ball's still back at the 30-yard line where Burr Wilson threw the ball from.
Yeah.
Then they end up calling the play back and getting some reports from after the game. The referee that threw the flag was the back judge, so he was behind Brewer Wilson.
Yeah, so his depth perception's way off. He can't
Right.
tell whether or
And
not he's across the
yep,
line. We need the
it
line judges for that.
according to the rules, he doesn't have the authority to throw that flag that says Brewer Wilson was in front of the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So
Yeah.
props to Coach Atkins.
Beautiful.
Coach Atkins
Yes. Yes.
called a
Yeah.
timeout to get into the
Smart.
refs
Very
about that.
smart. Yeah. Good.
I think him and Coach Kathy were really getting on the refs.
Yeah, but
Ends up getting
we've
the
heard
play
firsthand what
reversed.
happens when Coach Kathy gets fired up.
Yeah, very true, very true. But so props to them for knowing the rules, uh, getting in the refs and getting that play call reversed because it was such a special play. You hate to see it get taken away.
And it was a beautiful play, and I'm glad it ended up counting as was because that puts him up 28-14. Oh, go ahead.
And rewatching the film, he was behind the line. It was a legal
Yes,
forward
yes, yes.
pass.
After we saw the stream and the TV copy, we realized, oh yeah, he's clearly. I mean, when I watched it originally, it didn't even go through my mind. So,
Yep.
it was well deserved and well earned. And then we're like, oh no, is Independence going to just respond back to make another one score game to because it's a shootout out here there in Thompson Station? No, what happens? The super sophomore that you shouted out, he holds. Talk to me about him jumping on. So Independence tries to throw a quick hitch. The quarterback kind of gets delayed, right?
Yeah.
David Domingo takes advantage of it, jumps in front of it, makes a diving interception, and boom, how you doing? Keep it moving. We've got the ball right back up 2 scores. Beautiful situation. Jed, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, just a huge play by the sophomore. And this was a route that Independence had been hitting all
All
night.
game, right?
And
Exactly.
the pass rush made the quarterback wait a little bit, threw off their
Hmm.
timing. Domingo kept
Hmm.
his eyes on the quarterback, was able to see him throw it. Because in this situation, you don't that's why we'll give up the 5 yards, is because you don't want to give
Yeah.
up the 60 yards.
Right. You don't
So
want to hit and go, him turn around, double move, and then boom, they're striking up the
exactly.
band. Yeah.
But because the pass rush was able to disrupt the timing of the
Yeah.
play, Domingo was able to keep his eyes on the quarterback, see him release the ball, and jump in front, made a great diving interception.
Beautiful. And then we almost we respond and take advantage of that to your key to victory, turning turnovers into points. Shout out you for that's exactly what we did.
Uh,
We almost had or technically 2 touchdowns to Luke Thompson right on this one for Brewer's 4th touchdown pass. He ends up throwing a corner to Luke Thompson in the back of the end zone, and Luke Thompson makes a diving catch, but they called it out of bounds. But Jet, what are your thoughts? Could that potentially been a catch? Breaking news here.
I'm an optimist. I think if we had ultra slow mo replay like we do in the
Right.
NFL,
Yeah, if we had
I
to throw the red flag.
I I think the first thing and it would have been by a hair,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
think the first thing that touched might have been in bounds, whether it was his knee or
Yeah.
his elbow or his hip. I think the first thing, and it's hard to tell with Luke Thompson because he's flying through the air making a
Yeah,
diving
that's right. I
catch.
mean, yeah, right,
Uh,
exactly.
Even rewatching the live stream, it's still hard to tell. It was a great catch, great throw either
It
way.
was a great, yes, absolutely. But don't worry, he still gets what he deserves. We end up driving down, running the ball a little bit, and then kind of near the goal line, throwing a nice jet sweep, beautiful blocking in the interior and the perimeter on that. And then once he gets the ball in space, he just turns the corner. We're up 35-14. And then to cap it off, Indy's kind of final drive, they try a double move, and your boy David Domingo jumps up with a pass breakup on a double move, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. 35-14 as we walk into Independence. Talk to me about your final thoughts, and then if anything, watching Brewer after missing his first. I mean, last week was the first high school game he's missed since he's been starting.
Yep.
Come back and throw for over 250 and 4 touchdowns. Or is there any quotes that you have or quotes you heard anybody else talk about this game?
You're setting me up. You know what I'm gonna say.
Hey, come on now.
I was reading the newspaper this morning, and
Oh
the
God, that's
I'm old, dude. I'm old now. It's rough, but
oh, okay.
but
Yeah.
the
Did the milkman come by this morning too for you?
uh the second line in the newspaper is, and I quote from Brewer Wilson, "I wanted to sling it, and sling it he did, Gentry." So yeah,
I
final
love it.
thoughts. Uh, Brewer Wilson, huge night. Yeah, confidence is high, swagger's up, looking like Johnny Football out there. Excited to see how him and the offense build on this going forward.
Uh-huh.
It was the first time that they'd really aired it out all season. They were kind of put the ball in Brewer
Yes.
Wilson's hands. Trust your receivers,
So
trust the O
hopefully they
line, make stuff
see that's
happen.
working.
Yeah,
Continue. Yep.
and
Continue that down the road.
thing that stood out to me is we hit them in the mouth all night.
Yes. Physical.
Offensive
Great
line,
blocking.
physical,
Yes.
great blocking.
Defense. Forced
Yes,
fumbles. Yes. I love
yes.
that. I
Forced two
completely agree.
turnovers, had 0 turnovers on offense. Offensive line hit him in the mouth. Great run game with Gok. Gok was trucking dudes. Jalen had a big truck on the sideline as
Oh
well.
my gosh, that was if I had to do one like physical play, if I had to pick one play that showed the physicality, it
Yeah.
would be that counter play that we handed off to Jay Springs, and then he walks up the sideline, and someone just kind of the safety or corner just kind of trots up, and he lays the wood and knocks him down, and Jalen was unfazed. I mean, it was
Yep.
like he just kind of ran through a pile of feathers. I mean, he just moves this man, relocates him, and it was a beautiful play. So I love that. I completely agree, especially with the whole hey, the air and out worked. Let's continue to take that momentum in the passing game into the next games, right? And so and continue to down the road. All right. Well, I'm super proud of the boys from Franklin tonight or last night. They balled out. Now switching over. Now we've talked about that game. Let's switch over to one of our favorite rounds. Jay, you want to say it with me on three after you take a sip? Ready? One, two, three.
The
The
lightning
lightning
round.
round. Oh, beautiful. Yes, bring it on. Bring it on. We're going to go quick lightning round through all the other games of Williamson County. We're going to start out with Brentwood, who ended up did playing. Brentwood beat Henry County. Close one, though, 7-6. Man, old school game, 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Centennial 44, James Lawson, nothing. Fairview 17 at Richland 21. And then obviously the Franklin 35, Independence 14. Nolensville takes care of Glenkiff 42-0. Page 42-0 against Laverne. Ravenwood 42-9 against Smyrna. Spring Hill 14 gets beat by Lincoln County, puts up 49. Summit gets shut out by Blackman 35-0. BGA 34, Davidson Academy 7. BA beats Father Ryan. Here's an interesting one, 31-2. And so a little safety action there on a Friday night. CPA 34, MBA 6. Man, that's a big one in the private school community for CPA to be taking on MBA like that. Franklin Road, FRA 55, Good Pasture 8, and then Grace Christian Academy 7 at Friendship Christian 35. Well, Jett, that really concludes everything. I'm going to shout out quickly the next town over. We're going to go back to Tullahoma. They got their second win of the season. Shout out Race Marin. Shout
Let's
out
go.
the Olive Brothers. And then, Jett, who do we got coming to town for Franklin next week before we wrap up?
Yeah, we got Nolensville. It should be a big one. Williamson County opponent. I expect the Franklin fans to show up on Friday night and be loud and cheer the boys on.
I love it. I love it. Well, Jet, we'll be doing a preview episode for that. We'll be back in person. I'll be able to give you a couple arm punches back here in the middle of the week for our walkthrough episode. But as far as the Friday Night Lights on air, we appreciate you tuning in on a beautiful Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of your coffee. And Jet, I'll see you back here next week. But hey, great breakdown. Always a pleasure. Super proud of the boys for getting their second win of the season, bringing them 2-2.
Yep. Shout out the boys, man. Always fun.
All right, you the man.
Peace out.